The 14 points were Woodrow Wilson's plan for the post-war world. But do you know what they actually were? Today we're going to review them while wearing 14 shirts! Welcome back, class. Now you remember World War I, right? No? Okay, here it is in a nutshell. Picture the worst club you can imagine. Everybody packing heat, wearing sleeveless flag t-shirts and pumping awful European dance music. Some random scuffs up some Austrian guy's Air Jordans and boom, a melee breaks out. Everybody's fighting because everybody has everybody else's back and they're trying to settle a score from when their rivals stole their lunch money or their fertile lands back in the 7th grade. And all the while, the US is feeling lucky to have an ocean between them and this World Cup calamity. That wouldn't last. See, the United States tried to remain neutral, uninvolved, and non-aligned with Europe's entangling alliances and imperialism. And remember, when the United States takes over new land, it's not imperialism, it's manifest destiny! But eventually, unrestricted submarine warfare and the Disarmament note in which Germany told Mexico it could get its land back from the US if it became its Senora Frau, it kind of pushed then-President Woodrow Wilson's hand. Yes, this is the same Wilson that just won re-election with the slogan, "He kept us out of war." I bet the guy that wrote that slogan is the same guy that called World War I the war to end all wars. So the US entered the war, victory was on the horizon, and Woodrow Wilson gave his 14-point statement. Now Wilson's 14 points given in January 1918 were unique because, well, Wilson was the only leader that openly stated what he hoped to get out of the war. Everybody else was like, just wait till we're through with you. So now let's review those 14 points with each point being another t-shirt. Point 1, open covenants of peace. Now, being that the interception of a shady offer helped bring the US into the war, a pledge for open diplomacy seems appropriate. Point 2, freedom of the seas. Again, what dragged us in? Point 3, the removal of economic trade barriers because you're less likely to punch your customers in the face, usually. Point 4, disarmament. Now, leading up to the start of the war, everybody, especially Germany and England, were strapped like they were in an 80s action movie. In order to avoid a Chekov's gun situation, Wilson wanted weapon levels lowered across the board. Point 5, the adjustment of colonial claims based on principles of self-determination. That must have went over well in Europe. Now, points 6 through 13 were all about specific territorial issues. Point 6, Russia. The Germans will leave it, it will determine its own government, and we'll see how this Bolshevik thing turns out. This just in, not very good. Point 7, Belgium and the evacuation of German troops from it. Point 8, France gets Alsace-Loraine back from the Germans because France was still whining about it 50 years after the Franco-Prussian War. Point 9, Italy and the adjustments of its borders, mainly giving it some of Austria-Hungary as a reward for switching sides mid-war. Speaking of which, point 10, Austria-Hungary will continue to be an independent nation. Point 11, the Balkans. Just let countries like Serbia, Montenegro, and Romania do their thing. Point 12, the Ottoman Empire. Now the Turkish people can have their own country, but the non-Turkish people should have their own country. You know what, just keep the Dardanelles open. Point 13, Poland. That's gonna be a thing again. And finally, point 14, a League of Nations will be formed to protect the independence of all countries, big and small. So what did everybody think of these 14 points? On the surface, great! Wilson's idealistic peace without blame helped him win the Nobel Peace Prize, and many believe it persuaded Germans to seek the armistice, thinking that these would be the conditions of peace. Many Europeans saw them as a fair and easy way to just end the dang thing already, but some leaders had other plans. France's Prime Minister Clemenceau thought they were too idealistic, lovey-dovey, and arrogant. Easy for Wilson to say, being that he was the last one to join the World War Royal Rumble. That attitude led to the much harsher conditions in the Treaty of Versailles, conditions like war reparations, which would help fuel a future Führer's claim of betrayal. At home, the Republican Senate refused to approve any treaty that would have us join the League of Nations on basis of the whole entangling alliance thing, which means that we never even ratified the dramatically punitive Treaty of Versailles. Technically, we were still at war till 1921 when separate peace treaties were signed. Guess the last one in is the last one out. But what if a peace was made that truly followed the 14 points? Would totalitarianism and fascism take hold in Europe? Would decolonization still have to wait till halfway through the 20th century? Would the United States have been dragged back into an overseas war even sooner? Let me know what you think in the comments, and while you're at it, tell me what your favorite shirt was. So there's the 14 points for you. If you need a laugh, click here for 33 jokes for history nerds, and click here for Abraham Lincoln Reads Mean Tweets. You can follow me at MrBettsClass on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Be safe, and I'll see you next time.